Anyway, look, Ron's giving me this cheeky smile and dashed indoors, and now there's soul music floating out the windows. Let's hope Marvin keeps himself to that roof for a while. Let's hope so. I'm gonna leave before y'all start getting freaky with me right next to y'all. Hey guys! We're back for another episode of PowerWash Simulator, and last I left off, I kind of had some jobs that were partially... I had one job that was partially finished, so let's go ahead and continue at the gas station. I kind of ran out of time last episode. I'm not sure if I'll do anything too big after I'm done with this. It depends on how long it takes me to finish the rest of this guy, but... let's see, I think we got all the stuff around the edges. Oh, the big truck. I wonder, can I get hit? Nope, darn it, it doesn't let me. I wanted to try, darn it. Oh well, worth a shot. Okay, we got through all that. Sorry, it's been a little bit, so I'm just trying to refresh my memory. Okay, I guess I could go ahead and finish up the inside of the roof here. And okay, yeah, I remember I got this guy last time, which actually does an amazing job with flat surfaces like the walls. Not great reach on it, but still, that is an amazing weapon in our arsenal and has already been helping me a lot. Now I wonder, is this guy any better? A little bit better. So I think I'll stick to this one for the distance and the white one for things that are a little bit closer. The only thing I kind of wish was that I had... in the last game, there was like this trident nozzle that was really, really powerful. It was like the power of this little red nozzle, but it was tripled. So because it had triple the coverage, it actually was really, really good for getting large areas of grime cleaned up very quickly. So maybe I'll get that on one of the later guns. Have to wait and see. Okay, there's that banister. There's that. There's that trim. Actually, the rest of that's on the outside. Okay, that beam is good now. Cool. And what about you? Anything I missed on you? There we go. Got you already, and you're... yeah, the other two are just connected to the wall. I think last time I was here, I was talking a bit about, like, road trips and traveling across the country. Have any of you guys ever been on road trips like that? I know they're more... I guess you could say more of a big thing here in America. I know in other countries you can definitely go on trips, but at that point, from everything I've heard from the people I know who've been outside of the country, it's a very different experience than going on a road trip here in America. Mostly because, how to put it, let's see. Okay, I think I'll start on this side and work my way around. And this is a perfect opportunity to swap to our flat guy. Yeah, the nice big disc. There. Are you gonna... there. I did your stupid tutorial thing, now leave me alone. But, it's a different experience. And a lot of times people who are from, especially Europe is a big one where they're not quite prepared for when they come here. It's a very different experience. An example is actually a story that my partner told me about, where he had some friends from Europe who were coming to visit. I don't remember if they were the ones from Ireland or not. I'd have to double check because because I haven't heard the story in a little bit. Come on, get that last little spot. There we go. I like how efficient this one is, but it's a little bit awkward with how it moves sometimes. But, yeah, so he had some friends from Europe who were coming to visit, and they stopped by to see him. And when he was, talking to while he was catching up, asking them what the rest of their plans were for the remainder of their stay, they mentioned, "Oh, we're gonna go up to Virginia and see the, we're gonna go see the mountains. We're gonna go see the Rocky Mountains and go to Washington and all this." Now, for reference, we live in the South. And he asked them, like, how long are you guys staying here again? And they were just like, oh, just, like a couple days. And he had to break it to them that they would not be able to get everything they wanted, like, checked off their list for how big America is. And they were very confused at first. And they're like, what do you mean? The Carolinas are right next to Virginia, right? And he goes, yes. They're next to each other on the map, but they are a huge ways apart from each other. And he got the map out and kind of broke it down for them, how long they would be traveling. And they were shocked. Oh, it's Lou. You feel a rumbling deep down in my gizzard. That thing's not far off now. Oh boy, are we gonna see the big giant trucks that she was talking about? I will admit, I am curious now. She has piqued my interest. Because I've seen some pretty big trucks on the road before. But, where was I? Oh yeah, they were very, very shocked to learn just, like, how long it would take them to get anywhere. And I guess the best way to kind of compare it is, for them, they saw it as a distance thing. Like, oh, they're this close to each other on the map, so they can't be that far off. But meanwhile, in reality, it's a whole nother monster when you actually live here and realize how many miles apart everything is. It's like my partner and I were actually talking a little bit last time we saw each other about how around here, you don't measure, like, we never talk about how far away something is. Like, we hardly ever say, oh, it's this many miles away. Around here, we say, oh, it's, like, how long will it take to get, like, oh, it's a 15, 20-minute drive from here. Or, oh, that's actually pretty close, that's only 10 minutes. And yes, a 10-minute drive is considered close around here. There are people who will drive almost an hour just to get to work. In some parts here. A couple people I actually work with have that type of commute. My parents have had that type of commute in the past, too. Not really fun to deal with, but hey, you gotta get your paycheck somehow, right? Alright, come on. Do the thing. Oh well. I'll just get the last little bit of this guy. Like I said, I like that flat one for the amount of space it can cover so quickly. Alright. There we go. When in doubt, red nozzle or soap. Let's go ahead and get this a little bit. There we go. And back to our flat boy. Alright. Put you back on there. Yeah. Like I said, it works really well when it wants to angle properly. That's the tricky part in all of this. There we go. Yeah, I remember one time I was doing a comparison about the Ghosts ghost and mythology stories, the difference between ones in, especially England, but in other parts of Europe too. But one thing I've noticed is that for most horror stories, scary stories, ghost stories, whatever you want to call them, that come from the UK, a lot of it is centered around people staying in old buildings or old locations and seeing creepy things out of the corners of their eye, or like a ghost that was from some tragedy that happened 1,000 years ago or something. And meanwhile, if you ever hear any spooky ghost stories or horror stories, whatever, in America, it's always people driving down the highway late at night on a long trip, and then that's when something comes and gets them. And I said before that the reason for that is because with America, the scariest stuff you tend to run into is either the stuff that you bump into because you were working late at night and you had an unsettling experience on your way home when nobody else was around to help you, which sadly happens very, very, very often. Way too often. Or it happens when you're way out in the middle of nowhere, because there's a lot of just miles and miles of empty highway space where if you disappeared or something happened to you in those places, nobody would really know. It would be very easy for you to be erased like nothing even happened. And that's what terrifies people about those types of stories here, is that anything could happen. Anything could be out there, and it's a fear of the unknown and the unexplored that scares most people. Meanwhile, for places like the UK that have a very long and oftentimes bloody history, it's the idea of not anything could happen right now, it's that anything could have happened in this place previously. So it really gets you wondering, like, oh, what kind of atrocities could have happened in this building I'm sleeping in 500, 1,000, 10,000 years ago? Like, you never know. Like, even just a couple hundred years ago, and you could unknowingly be sleeping or living somewhere that was home to one of the worst murder cases in the country. And it would just be a stone's throw away from where people get their breakfast every day. That's kind of the difference in how we process. Oh, I forgot our babies were here. Hello, babies. I'm talking about scary horror stories. Yes, I am. But, those creepy ambient sounds. Ugh, still not a fan of those. But, there we go. Got that back on. But yeah, that's just kind of interesting to explore the difference there. Basically, it's cool to think about how even our scary stories and what we fear intrinsically is linked to where we come from. It's like, here in America, you're not going to have too many places where they're old enough that you believe anything could have happened here, just by nature of they could, like, oh, well, this place can't be more than a few hundred years old, which isn't to say you can't have some absolutely terrifying stuff that happens within a few hundred years, but it just, you kind of feel like you could trace it back with enough, like, not even that much digging these days, thanks to internet, historical preservation societies, things like that. It's a lot easier these days to find information that you're looking for. It's like, you ever see any American-centric horror movie about people staying in a creepy house? Nowadays, for the modern ones, it's always a thing of they go online and they're able to research who previously owned the house, or who was it that lived here last, what news articles talk about what happened in this house. So it's very feasible to find out what happened. And it's not even that hard in most places. Whereas, like I said, opposite idea in the UK for a lot of places. You can only go back so far before you no longer have any sort of written history. You can maybe have some rumors here and there, and you can even have some places where they've kept a really, really good log of what happened there. But who's to say everything in there is accurate, because we have no way to go back and fact check anything anymore. So yeah, I just like thinking about these things. I know it's dark and kind of morbid, but it's, you know, I like creepy things. I said before that I'm a big, like, I like horror movies, horror games, whereas my sister finds the lore and, like, the stories behind them interesting, but she's not a big fan of horror. She has to experience it on her own terms to be comfortable with it, but she always finds mythology and like scary stories people have told in the past. She finds that stuff very interesting. Like, how did that come about? What happened with this? She's always the type who likes to learn the why behind it. Which I admit, I like doing that too, but she's really into it. Anything historical, she's on it. Chances are that she may already even know something related to it. Okay, anything else I missed in here? Buttons are all good. Alright, that one got cleaned up pretty easily. Still kind of waiting for one of those trucks to just come barreling out, you know? Oh yeah, this thing is perfect for getting the signs on the walls. Let's see. Yeah, just a few little swipes of that. One of them says soap up. Very appropriate. I'm curious, do you guys have any, like, favorite spooky stories or anything like that where you've had, like, maybe a campfire tale that you told to spook somebody, or any sort of favorite childhood ghost stories you would tell at a sleepover? I'd like to hear what people's different experiences with horror are. Because there's anything ranging from, you know, the classic, he had no head, or the severed hook hand, the campy level ones, to the levels of, there we go, to the ones that are straight up, like, Goosebumps level of the, like, I always think about the girl with the green ribbon around, like, the girl with the green ribbon, or the girl with the ribbon around her neck, where it was, like, the whole story of this girl who, as the name implies, had, okay, I think that's everything for those. Okay. Like a girl who had always had a ribbon tied around her neck. In a lot of stories I've heard, it was a green ribbon, but I've heard it told with other colors too. But it's like the whole little thing of she never ever took it off, no matter what, whether she was sleeping, awake, swimming, anything. She always had it on. And there was a boy that she fell in love with, And originally they started off as friends, and he asked her about the ribbon, and she told him that she couldn't tell him about it when he asked, so he let it go. Then once they started dating, he asked her again. It's like, hey, now that we're dating, can you tell me why you never take off that ribbon? And she says one day she will, but not yet. And he lets it go again. And then eventually, look, I got stuck on the furniture. Eventually, they get married, and he asks yet again, like, we've been together for so long. We're married now. Can you tell me why you never take off that ribbon even now on our wedding day? And she still tells him that it's not time yet. And he kind of lets it go. They go on, they live their life, and they have a good life together, a long life. And he just kind of forgets about it because she can have her secrets, she can wear what she wants. He's just happy to be in her life. And he forgets about asking again for many, many, many years until they are both old and she's gotten sick and she's starting to fade away and die. So she tells him, my dear, it's finally time. You know how you asked me many times in the past why I always had this ribbon on? And he's curious and sad because it feels like this is their, like, a goodbye conversation. But he tells her yes, he remembers. And she says, well, it's finally time. I'll show you. And she reaches up to her neck and pulls the ribbon off. And then her head fell off and rolled across the floor. And there's different variations of that story. It's a little bit creepy, but it's one of those, like, kid-friendly horror stories. The kind that you see pop up in, like, children's books, or that would be the PG type of horror story kids would tell around a campfire at a sleepover when the adults were present, or even that maybe the adults tell to the kids. Just because it's that perfect level of just creepy enough that it'll make some kids go, what? Or it'll just have them thinking about it for a while afterwards. Okay, this is a little bit of a crevice. I need to... Yeah, just bust out this guy again. This one is still... I will say is that for all of its shortcomings, the flat washer is still making really good progress with all of this. What am I missing on the door? Little spots here and there. Is there anything I missed on the sides? Around the bottom, that's where it is. But yeah, that's just one of those little child-friendly horrors that I like to talk about occasionally. And of course, we all have, like, our favorite spooky stories, I think. Even for people who don't really like horror, I think there's plenty of people who will still have... Let's see. Alright, I think that's everything on this wall. Alright, now we have to get up to the roof. Let's see. I think I'm going to actually have to get my stuff for it, because I don't... Well, maybe I could get up there from here. I was, like, seeing how I can parkour my way up. It's just more fun for me. Oh, there we go. Alright, and lots of flat surfaces. Our little flat cleaner is going to be perfect here. But, yeah, I think everybody's kind of, even for people who don't like scary stories, they've kind of still got their favorite creepy, spooky type of story. The kind that you tell around Halloween when you're in the mood for something like that. Even my sister, who's not a horror fan, still has her shows that she likes to watch. Back when we used to, like, first live together with our parents before before I moved out for work and everything, we had a tradition of it didn't really start out as an intentional tradition, but every holiday season when we were decorating the Christmas tree and setting up the living room with everything, we would put on a season of a horror anime and just binge watch that, or have it playing in the background for background noise while we were setting up festive little Christmas decorations. I think one year it was Parasite, and then another one it was Hellsing, which Hellsing in itself, like, I guess it depends on how much you like horror, if you want to count that or not. I think it still has some horror elements. It can be pretty bloody, you know? But, there we go. Got that one. Come on. Yeah, they're gonna have to switch off of this part. But it's still kind of a bloody one, especially when you get to the ultimate ones. Still kind of waiting for that truck to show up. Okay, that one. Alright, all of that looks good. Alright. But, where was I? Ah, the gnomes! Be gone, gnome! Yeet! I said, yeet! If it shows back up here, I'm going to be worried. Okay, there it is. Drown! Drown, abomination! I've said it before, y'all. Be careful trusting gnomes. Especially ones with red hats. There's a saying when it comes to anything Fae-related. If it's a red cap, beware. Because while it's kind of been played up as the cutesy gnome thing for a while, there are ones out there that you need to be aware of and be cautious of. I'm trying to do the wall, not the floor. Let me do the thing. There. But, where was I? But yeah, it kind of became our thing where we would watch some sort of scary, bloody, whatever anime while doing the Christmas decorations for a while. And it's fun. It was an interesting little counterpoint. I guess the big one's a no-show. You must think I'm a right one. That thing's out there, though. You mark my words. Yeah, I believe you. I'm probably gonna, like, see it zoom by at the end of the level, though, like, after I've gotten everything else. Alright, I think I got all the back of that guy done. Oh yeah, that one definitely needs the red one. There we go, got it all clean. Now, with the holidays coming up, I'm curious, do any of you guys have any holiday traditions that you do, like playing certain games, eating certain foods, things like that? For my family, in addition to, like, the little accidental tradition my sister and I had for a little bit of the whole the horror anime thing, we also have a game that our mom started with us a long time ago of basically hiding an ornament in the Christmas tree and seeing who can find it. And the ornament is a pickle. Yep, the ornament's a pickle. Funniest thing I ever saw. But Try and tell if I have the big plate on or not. Let's see. Yeah, that's the big plate. But it's an interesting challenge. It's green, and because it's green ornament and a green Christmas tree, that makes it interesting to try and find it. Back when we all still lived together, our mom would make a daily game out of it where she would hide it. She would hide it different places in the tree, and whoever found it first got their pick of a prize, which could be anything from toys, candy, bubbles, just there's a whole myriad of things that she had for us to choose from, but basically whoever found it first got to get first dibs on the prize, and the other person got kind of a secondary consolation prize. And if we found it together, then we both got to pick a prize. And she would be creative with it. My mom is very clever when she wants to be she's a troll, honestly. I get it from her. Any trolling behaviors I have, any times I like to prank people or joke, I absolutely get it from her, and she knows it and takes such pride in it. But one thing that we learned after a while with her, and she made it more difficult every year, but one thing we learned with her is we cannot take for granted that the ornament was actually hanging on the tree, because we had a variety of other ornaments. And yeah, she would still do the traditional things of like hiding it deep in the tree near the middle of it, hiding it in the branches or underneath something, behind something. But then we learned that she could be very sneaky about it and do things like, one hint she gave us one year was, well, it's not hanging on the tree. It's on the tree, but it's not hanging on the tree. Which confused us for a little bit. Until we remembered that there were, come on, where's the last couple spots? Until we remembered that there were, little felt handmade ornaments that she did, where they had little pockets in them, and sometimes she would hide candy in those. And we figured out that she was hiding the ornament by tucking it inside of that. So afterwards, if we got stuck, she would let us, of course, ask for hints. So one of the hints we started asking after a certain point was, is it actually hanging on the tree? And she has a creative streak when it comes to stuff like that, which made it very, very interesting to play. And from what I've heard, our family is not the only one that has that style or that sort of tradition. So I actually heard one of the YouTubers that I watch. He was talking with another person he collaborated with about their holiday traditions. And he actually mentioned that they had a cucumber ornament that they would hide on the tree. And it just makes me wonder, like, where did this sort of tradition come from? Is it a cultural thing? Is it just like a thing that was advertised and a bunch of families picked it up? You know, interesting to think about. And then one other tradition we have when it comes to Christmas especially is that we have a rule where Christmas Eve we go and see our extended family, like my aunt, my cousin, my grandmother, like we all get together for a big Christmas Eve party. But then Christmas Day, we spend it together with our immediate family, and we just stay at home, lounging around, doing nothing, and eating junk food all day. So, and we also make a point of the big tradition is we do not use any washable cutlery. We use all disposable, like paper plates, paper cups, disposable utensils, and all that. And that's because my sister, one of her. There we go. Hold on. Oh, okay, there's like this. I kind of forgot there was an extra large plate in here. But doing dishes is one of my sister's chores. Because, you know, if you live there, you kind of have to help out with the chores, and dishes was the one that she helped out with. So, as a kind of Christmas gift to her, none of us would use anything that we would try to use as few dishes as possible. So that way she has a day off from having to do chores, because dishes is one of those constant chores that you really can't get away from or take a very long break from, because you're using dishes constantly, and she was keeping up with the dishes for all of us. So so that's one of the days off that she gets from that chore is Christmas and her birthday. She does not have to do dishes on her birthday either. So, yeah, we all just kind of lounge around in comfy clothes. Back when I still lived with them, I just wore pajamas all day, because pajamas are the best. Okay, what am I missing? Oh, did I miss the sign? Put something on the back of it, maybe. Yep, it's the back of the sign, yep. Maybe get it from underneath? Some of it, at least. Okay. What else did I miss? Guide me, oh trigger point. Is it something in here? Oh, part of the frame. Oh, there you are. Sneaky little thing. Okay. Let's see. I missed part of the playground? Ah, the window. This thing here. That's the slide guard. That's the window. And then the underside of the platform. There we go. Alright. I'm still kind of disappointed we haven't seen the big old truck rumbling by. But let's get a nice little picture of all that. It's always very satisfying to see how it comes together at the end like that. Sugar, I don't know what to say. Me and Ron have been out front for hours, gazing at your handiwork with tears in our eyes. We ain't seen the place looking like this for many a year. Anyway, look, Ron's giving me this cheeky smile and dashed indoors, and now there's soul music floating out the windows. Let's hope Marvin keeps himself to that roof for a while. Let's hope so. I'm gonna leave before y'all start getting freaky with me right next to y'all. Okay, that one wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. What's an easy one? A mobility scooter. Okay, this one should be a quick one. I know some folks complain about that merman's beam, but I weren't one of them. You see, I love giving folks a treat, and that beam fired a line straight over our retirement home all the way to the Bullseye Superstore on the edge of town. So every night I'd follow that beam there just as the markdowns go out. Then I'd load it up with as much discounted deliciousness as my scoop could handle. But the beam went off just as I was shortcutting it through the national park. Made out eventually, but those woods are denser than pound cake, and my scoot's not cut out for off-roading. Have a good pound cake. Babies! Hello, I heard y'all meowing. I'm sorry I didn't pet you earlier. I'm so sorry, sweeties. There we go. Oh, so precious, baby. I am a sucker for cute cats. You stay away from my cats, Gnome. I see you. Any others? Anybody else want to try anything? You know what? It's been a while since I busted out the soap. So I'll let that build up for a little bit. I'll get this thing a good sudsing down. Darn, I kind of got... Sorry, ADHD is hitting hard today, and I keep forgetting what I've been talking about. I kind of got distracted by talking about pound cake. I do love a good pound cake. It's one of those recipes that I don't make super often, but every now and then I'll just be in the mood for it, and pound cake is something that takes a good amount of ingredients, but it in itself is relatively simple. Oh, what's wrong, babies? I know, it's very bright out, isn't it? Okay, that should be enough. But, yeah, though, more often things I'll get... One thing I kind of get a craving for now and then are cinnamon rolls. And they're quite a bit of work, but I know how to make cinnamon rolls from scratch. And once you get used to making them, it's not too terribly difficult. It's just more time-consuming than anything. Let's see, there we go, all that. Get you on the back here. But yeah, especially during the summer, I like making a good pound cake. I also have a recipe for gluten-free pound cake. I mentioned in, I think it was one of my supermarket simulator videos, that my mom has a lot of allergies and sensitivities. And one of them is that she has celiac, so she cannot have anything with gluten. Alright, that should be just about everything suds down on this guy. If I have missed a spot, then so be it. Oops, wrong one. Did not mean to do you. Alright, you should be sufficient. Oh. I may have found my way out those woods, but the discounted snacks didn't. Ooh, that's rough, buddy. To clarify, it wasn't panic eating. Did you get lost in the woods and have to eat your snacks? It's just the best before dates. We're fast approaching. I can't stand waste. So, fun fact, a lot of those best before dates are actually pretty flexible, and in general are not indicative of when a food is going to go bad. Now, I would definitely say you should be more likely to listen. You should be listening to that more if it's something that is heavily perishable. So things that involving dairy, meat, stuff like that. Let's see, what have I missed? Up here. Alright, let's get on the bottom here so I can get all this stuff. That should help me get the last bits of this guy. But, yeah, for anything that's like a dried, not generally non-perishable or not easily perishable food, a lot of those Best By dates don't actually come from the companies. They come from... I mean, they don't come from the FDA or anything. They come from the companies themselves. The rear chassis. And all this stuff in here. And it's not based off of any, how to put it? It's not based off of any, like, it's gonna go and spoil or anything like that. It's gonna be a case of this is like they have done experiments and determined that the food tastes its freshest by this exact date, and any less than that, and it's not going to basically give the experience they want their product to have. So, like, if it's a chip, it won't be as crunchy or as flavorful, but it'll still be safe to eat for a very, very long time after those expiration dates. Alright, that was a pretty easy little one. Amazing work, my friend. Scooter's scooting like a dream machine. I've already been to the stuff and run just down the way. It's not as good as the bullseye, but it'll do nicely till they figure out how to turn that beam back on. Oh, I left you a red velvet cake as a special thanks. Well, it's the only thing not on discount. That's how good a job you done. Aw, that's actually really sweet. And also, I love a good red velvet cake. It's one of my top favorite cakes that I can make. You know what? I got some time. Let's see what I can buy from the shop. Let's see, not that. It was... yeah, here. But it was... they still don't really tell me how to, like, change the colors. Oh, well. But, darn it, where was I? Oh, yeah, red velvet cake is one of my favorite cakes to make. I also have these red velvet cake truffles that I make sometimes. My partner really likes them, so I make them for his birthday now and then. Let's see. Kind of trying to see. I feel like these would go good together. They would kind of match with that table I got. Go ahead and get those guys. And piano would be classy. A spare chair would be cool too. You know, I could kind of have like two separate corners going on. Yeah, have a little whimsical area, have a little futuristic area. And they got some rustic stuff. They have too much for that though. And sure, let's get a guitar just for fun. Let's see. I don't think I got any. Yeah, not really any good cosmetics. Still waiting for them to get something in pink. And this is the stuff where I kind of have to save up a little bit for it. This was the flat one. Or is that a different version of the flat one? Can't really tell. Let's see, medium duty ones, heavy duty ones. Now, some of these things are crazy expensive, so I think some of this will be like the next little batch that I save up to buy. But for now, let's go check out our new stuff. Because we gotta clean it before we can put it out. Nah, I think I'll stick with this one, and there we go. Get this nice spritzing down. It's mostly just dusty, not too bad on the grime yet. I know, famous last words. What was I saying earlier? Oh yeah, I was saying how I've got these red velvet cake truffles that I like to make for my partner. And I basically kind of use my standard red velvet cake recipe, and only difference is that I kind of altered it from the original recipe I found, which basically said to put cream cheese in with the crushed up cake for the truffles. And I'm like, that's alright, but I'm gonna just do my homemade cream cheese icing instead. And I find that still gives it enough enough moisture to hold together. Come on, let me up on the thing. Alright. Parkour time! Ugh, there we go. But it still gives it the moisture needed to hold everything together. But the extra sweetness is more pleasant, in my opinion, than just the straight cream cheese is. Because I'm not a big fan of cream cheese by itself. My partner doesn't mind it as much, but even he agrees that that they taste really good with the icing for the filling. But yeah, so basically take your favorite red velvet cake, crush it up, mix it with your favorite cream cheese icing. Let's see. Undersides, that's what's getting me. And then you can basically do whatever you want with it, like any type of chocolate, but I find white chocolate is very pretty. And if you want to be fancy, decorate with some sprinkles. A lot of times I just do some... Oh, there we go. Alright. Let's see. Kind of got this area over here. So I could put the shelving... I said before that this is one thing that kind of annoys me in this game, is that it's a little bit more limited to where you can put stuff. Like how close you can have it. Alright, like, why can I not have that there? Explain the rules to me. I hear you up there, babies. Alright, let's do the table next. But yeah, a lot of times I'll decorate it with just some simple, like, red sugar crystal style sprinkles. So you can definitely, if you have any leftover cake bits that you trimmed off earlier, or that you had a little bit extra, you can crush that up, and after you dip the cake balls in chocolate, you could sprinkle some of the leftover cake bits on top, and it looks really pretty visually. And of course, you know, more cake is always a win when there is more cake involved. Okay. This one was definitely a lot dirtier than I anticipated it being. But we'll get it there. There we go. Get the other side now. Another cake that I really like to make every now and then myself is carrot cake. And it's actually my dad's favorite cake. It's what I make him every year for his birthday. And he says that I've ruined all other carrot cakes for him because it's his absolute favorite recipe now. It's a lot of work and a lot of prep to get it going. Because with cake, it's honestly more prep rather than the actual process of making the cake itself. Part of it being because... There we go. But part of it is because... let's see... Put you here. For now. Come on. Place. There. I'll probably move stuff around a little bit next time. Oh wow, I have a pretty high furniture limit. And I got this guy left for the futuristic set. But yeah, the carrot cake requires a lot of prep for the process just because it's a mixture of different kinds of flour. I use regular all-purpose flour, and then I also use like whole wheat flour. And then lots of different types of sugar, getting the butters and oils together. And then also, I shred up fresh carrot, which is something that my sister has always come over to help me with because, like I said, it's a lot of prep work and it goes faster and easier if I have somebody to take care of certain things for me while I handle things like measuring out the spices needed for it. Oops, did not mean to do that. So she handles things like getting the carrots grated, which in the past she was not a fan of because we always joked that by the time she was done, her hands were so orange that it looked like she strangled an Oompa Loompa. You know what? Now that I've got all this out, I kind of want to try and move some stuff around. Why are you so particular where I put my rugs? There. And then I could take you. And I cannot. I think that's the right way to have the shelf. There. There. It's gonna annoy me later that it's not centered. I always have that little thing where it kind of irks me. Why can I not just place you on the rug? It is a rug. It is meant to have stuff upon it. Okay. I hear you, baby. I hear you. But, yeah, so my sister would be in charge of basically the prep work for the carrots. And she'd be in charge of getting them shredded and everything. And we would always say that by the time she was done, because if you've ever had to shred like a pound of carrots, you know the pain and what it looks like when it's all finished. Yeah, I can go ahead and get this guy done next. But it looked like her hands were so orange that we would always say that she strangled an Oompa Loompa to make this cake. And you would believe it too when you saw her hands. But, you know, labor of love and all that. She was willing to do that for our dad to give him a cake that he likes. And after that, she kind of just ends up being my assistant. She's a good baking assistant, so it's always fun to work with her. I know a little bit more about baking in general, but she's gotten a lot better over the years. She's learned a lot, partially because we've worked together with so much stuff. Come on, let me place the chair. I do not know why it does not let me place it in certain areas. It is so dumb. I'll probably, like, go back and mess with some of this off screen, honestly. And I'll at least get this last one out before I end the video. But, yeah, it's a lot of work to make it from scratch, and I also add in things like raisins and walnuts, because my dad likes the mix-ins. But it's worth it. I also make my homemade cream cheese icing for that one as well. So, because cream cheese icing in general goes good with red velvet and with carrot cake. Especially fresh carrot cake, where it's got a lot of strong flavors from your spices. You know, ginger, cinnamon, all that. Honestly, a lot of the same stuff you use in a pumpkin pie or pumpkin cake. Which I do like pumpkin cake. I just recently, for work, I brought in some pumpkin chocolate chip cake bar brownies. There we go. Get the top of that guy. Get the inside of that. And they are a very, very much a favorite of mine in the fall. Just because they give you all of those wonderful autumn, fall flavors that you end up craving after a certain point in the year. Because it's really everything you would expect out of a pumpkin pie, but with the addition of... Okay, I'm done with you. Go away. There. Why can't you place that so easily, but not literally anything else in this place? That should be the end of that. Alright. Okay, let's get you kind of maybe vibing in the corner there. There we go. Alright, We got two little contrasting areas. I think I'll put the guitar closer to this one and the piano closer to here just because they'll mesh with that vibe better. But gonna have to save that for the next episode. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye! Aw, game over already? Don't worry, there's always more fun to be had later. If you enjoyed your stay, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for visiting Arya's Arcade. Bye-bye!